to defeat the hope. Did they say you daughters? When I asked for sons, you're the saddest bunch I ever met. But you can bet before we're through, Mister, I'll make a man out of you. Ooh. Tranquil as the forest.
Hello, lovies. How are you? I hope that you're all doing amazing. I hope that God is setting your path on wonderfulness. All right. Let's jump into it. The tea of the show, de-stress tea from Lipton. It's cinnamon, chamomile, and lavender. Yeah, the big three. Joking. To who? Okay, tea of the show. We're gonna be talking about masculinity today. It's a tough topic because there's so much going on within it, and because I am not within it, it is again even harder to talk about. But between you and me, we got this. All right. Also, there's a lot of terms, but it's gonna be okay. We can do this. All right. So we want to talk about hypermasculinity. Hypermasculinity is the dependence upon, like, an overemphasis of guy, boy, gender normative stereotypes, right? Physical strength, aggression, things of that nature, lack of emotionality, that is hypermasculinity. But then you also have like toxic masculinity, which is a nod towards the more technical term hegemonic masculinity. Now, hegemonic masculinity is more of a power system. It's like the patriarchy, right? So you have dominion over other individuals and a sense of superiority over other individuals because you belong to this group, right? Okay, cool. So we have those things. We have the issues. There are already inherent issues amongst these, right? Because there are a lot of assumptions. There is a lot of room for aggression and attacks of people who don't fit into certain categories or people who don't fit how they should fit in these categories, okay? I have feelings like kind of a tightrope when it comes to men and masculinity and how I feel about these things. It is this tightrope between caring and contempt, right? Because as a woman and as a black woman, I totally and completely understand what it is to be denigrated, to be disrespected, discriminated against, to be forced upon with other people's expectations, assumptions, and subtext, right? So I care about men and what they go through in that sense for that reason alone. Also, try to be a dope individual means I need to have compassion. But the contempt comes in because, like, this is your system. You as men set this system up, and now you want to whine because your system ain't working for you in certain ways. I don't care. Why should I be upset? Oh no, you as a man, you have to be the provider, which you did to yourself, because as of the last at least 30 years, there's been a strong shift of women changing their narrative, saying, listen here, I can earn my money. What I want you to be is a compassionate, caring individual. I was listening and watching this conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. You should check it out. If listening to their conversation though, Nikki Giovanni was very confused as to why she couldn't get black men to see, I would rather have you broke, as in with no money, not providing. The bills will get paid, the baby will get fed, it'll happen. We're smart people, we'll make it work. I'd rather have you like that and in the home and with somebody warming my bed, supporting me and loving me, than not have you in my life at all and try to figure out how to raise this kid by myself. And James Baldwin was like, men have this thing, and Steve Harvey has said it, if they're not ready, if they don't feel like financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, then they're not going to get in that space. They're not going to stay in that situation because they don't feel like they're the man of the situation. They can't provide, right? It's time to adapt. It's time to adjust. It's time to stop using that as an excuse You cannot make this woman fall in love with you and then realize you're not ready to support the love that you've spawned in her. That doesn't work that way. You need to grow up. It is okay that a woman will make more than you. It is okay if you're the man who stays at home. You're starting to see commercials like that on TV too now, where you'll see stay-at-home dads on the Tide commercial. You see that, right? Where we're trying to normalize stay-at-home dads. And that's exciting, that manhood when it comes to those who deviate from that standard or that stereotype, right? So you have gender derivations. And when I say derivation, it just means that you're veering off of that set social, societal path, right? So you have gender derivations. There's a spectrum for gender, right? So you have the spectrum going farther towards that hypermasculinity, and then there's different shades in between. So it's extremely important to be cognizant of how you're relating to people, right? Like, it's not fair to come up to a man and say, oh, you're not manly enough because you don't do this, you don't do that, or you say, at the end of the day, in the same way that I'm a woman, because I identify as a woman, and you identify as a man, no matter how close or far I am from that mark at the end, it is humanity's job to respect the humanity in me and the identifications I make for myself. Same for sexuality derivations, right? So again, sexuality is a spectrum. Make sure that you're listening to how people identify, to how people want you to identify them, to how you're relating to people, right? Accountability. So there's accountability on both sides. Accountability for men. I've been asked about the Me Too movement. People are very interested in how I feel about men and men's roles in that. So I think in any place in society, if you have an opportunity, if you have privilege, you have a responsibility towards those in line behind you. Perfect. You know, it's like going to a buffet. Don't take all the fried shrimp. That's rude, right? There are people behind you. I don't know if you're into fried shrimp. I only like the ones from Popeyes. That's extremely important to make sure that you have these women in these spaces to keep people accountable, especially in the entertainment industry and professional industries. What else? Men are more cognizant than I think they, one, get credit for, or two, let on. I think they're a lot more aware of what they do, how they do it, the effect that they have on other people. So I don't feel bad for you that you now can get in trouble for doing things that were never okay. It was never acceptable for you to take out your pieces and parts without me shooting you a dead certain sign that that's what we were both here for. It was never okay. It was never okay, the fact that you chose not to listen to what I was saying, the fact that you chose to ignore that I have a voice and opinions and feelings, the fact that you look to the man next to me and assume that he's the one leading. It was never okay that if a man said something, you took what he said to heart, even if I just said it and you ignored what I said. That's never been okay. It's never been acceptable. It's never been acceptable. Your creepy mentalities. Don't touch me if we have not established that level of relationship and cordiality. Don't whisper in my ear if I done already told you leave me alone. Now, I do understand that movies have convinced you all that persistence, despite me being like, yeah, no, don't want that, please leave me alone, ha, 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 ha. Like, I understand they've taught y'all, if I just keep trying, if I keep pushing that girl, she'll love me back. Read your audience. But at the end of the day, men need to stop victim shaming. You need to believe women when they say something has gone wrong, especially if there's some sort of proof that something has gone wrong, or that they're uncomfortable, or that they don't see that this was the space or situation they want to be in. Also, no one owes you an explanation. Let me just go ahead and say that. Personal experience, hot take, no one owes you an explanation. If I don't want to let you into my cave of wonders, to my treasure trove, lady, garden, secret, pearl, whatever you want to call it, coin purse, her. If I don't want to let you into her or engage with this entity, I owe you no explanation. No, I'm okay. No, thank you. Goodbye. Don't ask me if I'm a virgin. Don't ask me what I've done with the guy before you. Don't ask me but why or who with and none of your business. Women, you have men in your lives. You have a responsibility, not to them, not to you necessarily, kind of, sort of. You have a responsibility to the young people who come after you to, I don't want to use the word train, to condition the men around you so that the women that they are impacting in the world are not feeling this gray shadow of what you chose to ignore. Ominous, there we go, ominous cloud of what you've chosen to ignore. I have a baby brother. He's not really a baby anymore, okay? He's 13 years old. Ugh, ew. I have taken it on to me to raise a young feminist. I don't know how well I'm doing, but I have taken that on to me, right? That means at the end of the day, how he goes into the world, how he operates and relates to women and other people, that is something that I have to take responsibility for. If he doesn't understand that some language is problematic, if he doesn't understand that you don't need to touch people in certain ways, you don't need to engage with people in certain ways, that's on me, right? Now, when he's an 18-year-old man, that ain't on me no more. I did the best that I could. I tried to show you instructional videos. I did my best, my guy. There's a really good YouTube called Man Enough by Justin Baldoni. He's the guy from Jane the Virgin. And he did some really great conversations and talks about men and masculinity, hypermasculinity, what's expected of them, how their thought processes work. So it's a great way to hear their side of it and see what they fear and what they need and things of that nature. But yeah, you have to take accountability for the men around you. Even like my dad, I try to have the conversations with him. Though he's an older man and he's less likely to change, right? You still need to make sure that you're having these conversations, right? Because if you're talking to the men closest to you, then you're less likely to let stuff slip by with strangers and things of that nature, right? Like if a man is interrupting you, I am 100% a fan of saying, excuse me, are you interrupting me because I'm black or because I'm a woman or because I'm a black woman? Which is it that is giving you what you feel is a go-ahead to completely disregard what I'm saying and the fact that I am saying something? Check them. And you may not be that it's confrontational. There we go. You may not be that confrontational, and there are other ways to do it. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that I don't feel that you listened to what I said. Things like that. You can play with the language, but make sure that you are speaking your truth and speaking your light. Men, if you are in a space where you see stuff like this happening, you have a duty to speak up, especially since you know men listen to other men more, right? If your homie is doing something he don't have no business doing, shut him down. Now, you can probably do it in a fun, joking way. Men talk about each other all the time, which men, you should probably be nicer to each other. You probably wouldn't have so many of y'all growing up being mean to everybody else if y'all would just be a little bit nicer to each other. It's okay to say I love you. Really, it is. It's okay to say, hey man, you good? It is okay to hold your friend while he's crying. Really, it is. Okay? Come here, baby. Mama will give you a hug. It's fine. It is fine to have emotionality. You are human. And women, stop expecting these men not to be human. And we're gonna steep it. So, marrying a white man is a gamble. Loving a white man for an extended period of time is like a jack-in-the-box situation. Boop, boop, there we go. And let me tell you why. Because that aging is insane. It's so confusing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a roll of the dice. It's like, you seen young Joe Biden? That man was fine. You even watch like these serial killer shows and they show them when they're old and you're like, I don't understand why these girls are getting in the car with this man. But then they show a younger picture and you're like, oh, I get it. I could have made that mistake in the 50s. I understand. You know what I'm saying? So they age quite unquestionably. Like, you have Brad Pitt and George Clooney, right? I think Brad Pitt, though. I genuinely, Angelina stressed him out. I think that's why he aged like milk instead of aging like wine, like he should have, right? Then you have Jeff Bridges, who essentially has the same dadgum face. I personally find him incredibly attractive still. Robert Redford, I don't know. For it, let us take a sip first. Whew, today I was running through these running through the six with my wolves. No, running through these topics. Okay, so today's pour it. This is a painting one of my best friends did for me for my birthday. Don't be afraid to paint or do things creative for people's birthdays and gifts and stuff like that. It doesn't always have to be expensive. It says, a sister is a gift to the heart, a friend to the spirit, a golden thread to the meaning of life, right? So, super bomb, super great. Eventually, I would love for you guys to send me in, eventually, like now. I'd love for you guys to send me in videos and pictures and creations and all kinds of stuff. Because I want to share what you guys are doing. So this was done by Glory O, a subscriber to the show. She's extremely into it. So yeah, thank you, Glory O, for your creation. And we are super excited to see what the rest of our community creates. Our sip it. Your call to action is watch how you reify, so reinforce, and how you defy gender stereotypes, right? Okay, so like, let's be cognizant, let's be aware of what we're pushing onto other people and what other people are pushing onto us, and like, compassion, guys. Let's all move forward with compassion, understanding, and I can sympathize without supporting foolishness. I mean, I can understand you, but that don't mean I gotta deal with it. True. Okay, so that is our sip it for today. Whew. And as always, be good, lovies.